The ocean had always been a place of wonder, mystery, and silence, but no silence was more deafening than what Eric Pitch was about to uncover beneath its waves. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. As his vessel neared the dark coordinates off the Virginia coast, the thick Atlantic fog clung low, pressing against the surface like a shroud. He checked the sonar screen one more time, heart pounding. Then, there it was, a ghostly shape emerging from the deep. It matched the one he'd studied for years. U-111, a lost German U-boat that disappeared over a century ago. And now, suddenly, it was back. Eric barely whispered the words. "That's it." The crew went still. On the screen, the steel beast appeared preserved yet scarred, battered by time, still threatening in its silence. The U-111 had been written off long ago, supposedly scuttled in 1922 at the bottom of the Atlantic. But now it lay only 400 feet down, closer than any official record claimed possible. Without wasting time, Eric suited up. His hands shook as he prepped for the dive, thoughts racing, naval legends, forgotten records, rumors of strange final messages. No one ever really knew what happened to the men aboard U-111, until now. He descended into the cold, dark water, flashlight in hand. The submarine was as eerie as he imagined, its hull deeply grooved, its frame split in places like an old scar. Yet, it almost felt alive, as though it had been waiting. At the hatch, Eric hesitated only a second before opening it and slipping inside. The beam of his flashlight cut through the gloom. What he found turned his stomach. Scattered personal items still floated gently in the water. Tattered uniforms, rusted tools, bits of cloth. The walls were worse. Deep scratches clawed into the metal, gouges that could only have come from desperate hands. Then he saw it, a skeletal hand still reaching out from a torn uniform, fingers frozen mid-claw. It was as if death had gripped them mid-scream. But then, his light caught something else. On the inner wall, just beyond the control room, someone had scrawled a final message, faint but unmistakable. "Wir sind nicht allein." We are not alone. Eric surfaced pale and speechless. Sarah Delacroix, the historian on his team, caught his expression. He didn't need to say much. She knew something had gone very wrong below. "This isn't just a wreck," he said breathlessly. "Something happened down there, something nobody wanted found." Sarah's brow furrowed as he described what he saw. She flipped through declassified records and paused. "Eric, there were rumors about U-111, that the crew sent distress calls days after they supposedly sank, but no one could explain how." Eric looked down at his trembling hands. "I'm going back in," he said. "We need answers." On his second dive, Eric pushed deeper into the U-boat's dark corridors. The crew's quarters looked almost untouched by time. Books still sat on shelves. Bunk beds were intact. More strange carvings were etched into the walls. Words that made little sense, but all seemed to mark time. "Kein Licht," no light. "Letztes Essen geteilt," last ration shared. "Sie kommen nicht," they are not coming. Then in the control room he noticed something strange. The emergency exit lever was jammed, violently scratched at like someone had tried desperately to escape. Eric brushed aside silt near the console and found a hidden compartment. Inside was a message capsule, still sealed. He brought it to the surface. When Sarah read the message aloud, the boat went quiet. "All systems down. Awaiting rescue. Light fading. Last ration shared. We pray they find us." There were no ghosts here, no myth, just men, abandoned by time, trapped in darkness, waiting for help that never came. But the mystery only deepened when Eric reviewed the boat's last recorded mission, a patrol that had been quietly canceled. Yet U-111 sailed anyway. The records didn't match. Why? Then Sarah found a final note, a single line. "They told us nothing. We sailed obeying our last order." Had U-111 been sabotaged? Eric's hands tightened around the capsule as the weight of what they'd uncovered pressed down on him. These weren't just soldiers lost at sea. These were men sent to die. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became. U-111 hadn't been sunk by enemy fire or natural failure. It had been deliberately left to vanish, along with whatever secrets it carried. Back at their temporary lab, Sarah scoured through German naval archives. "This doesn't make sense," she muttered. "Look at this." She spun her laptop toward Eric. A hidden communique, buried in the margins of a decoded transmission, revealed that U-111's final voyage was designated as non-recoverable. "What does that even mean?" Eric asked. Sarah leaned in. "I think they knew this sub wouldn't return, but they didn't tell the crew." Eric's blood chilled. These men had followed orders, trusted their command, and been erased. But one question remained. Why? The answer revealed itself not in the records, but in the U-boat itself. On his final dive, Eric returned to the rear compartment of the vessel. There, wedged behind a collapsed bulkhead, he found a large metal crate sealed with lead. Carefully prying it open, his light reflected off the unmistakable glint of polished tubes, glass wrapped in steel coils. He surfaced with the crate, heart racing. Sarah gasped when she saw it. "It's a prototype. A chemical prototype. It matches nothing from the known inventory of World War I munitions," she said, voice tight with awe and fear. Inside was a deadly compound, likely an early bioweapon, years ahead of its time. "That's why they sank her," Eric said slowly. "The Allies couldn't find this, and the Germans, they couldn't let it fall into enemy hands." The truth was horrifying. The U-111 wasn't just abandoned, it was used. A floating tomb designed to erase forbidden knowledge, and the men who unknowingly carried it. "They were martyrs for a cause they never chose," Sarah whispered. Determined to honor the crew, Eric reached out to historians, naval officials, and international archives. The story spread like wildfire. Media outlets dubbed it the lost U-boat of secrets. Descendants of the crew came forward, their faces marked by the grief of finally learning the truth and the relief of finally being heard. Months later, under a quiet gray sky, a memorial was held. A bell tolled 11 times, once for each soul aboard. As the waves crashed against the rocks in solemn rhythm, Sarah read aloud from Lieutenant Reininger's final note. "To those who find this, we are not enemies of the world, only of silence. May the truth float, even if we do not." Tears welled in the eyes of the crowd. And as the sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light across the ocean's surface, Eric felt the burden lift. U-111's truth was no longer trapped beneath the sea. The crew was no longer forgotten, and history, though scarred, was finally whole.